Welcome to Mad Real Estate Radio, a show for real estate agents. Is the real estate business stressing you out? Giving you no free time, no consistency in income, or just plain driving you mad? You're in luck. On this podcast, we're going to give you the coaching, strategies, and interviews with top real estate agents around the globe to take you from letting real estate drive you mad to selling mad real estate. Hosted by Matt Durbin and DJ Fairley.
Got it.
Bingo.
With guest host, Tim Myers.
Hello,
What's up?
gentlemen.
How are we today?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tim.
DJ, if you were to sing the intro, what would that sound like?
Hello. Is it me you're looking
I
for?
think these connectors are really enhancing your voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, that actually sounded really good.
Might hire
So
you.
DJ sings Hello
By Lionel.
by Lionel Richie at every wedding
I do like
the-
that song.
You're like the wedding singer.
for the wedding.
Semi,
he is
yeah.
kind of like the wedding singer.
It's like the guy in the end of The Hangover. You know, he's doing those covers.
That's my next career move. Professional wedding singer.
Although you did bomb on Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I got booed off the stage on
You
that
got
one.
booed off the stage in
I missed every note.
Jamaica.
Really
He-
tough experience.
He was singing, I forget what song it was, Backstreet Boys.
I can't remember either, but that was a tough thing to overcome. I had stage fright for a
What
while.
year was
hotel
this?
lobby bar.
Okay.
In front of quite a few people. Too.
Tough crowd. Tough crowd. You never know until you get out there and do it again.
But then I redeemed myself with some of the Lionels. I came back. I think yours I did well.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
If only I knew you when I
Actually,
got
JR's
married.
might have been my best one ever. I think I crushed that
Yeah,
one.
Mexico wedding, that one was pretty good.
Maybe
You,
we
didn't,
do.
you didn't split your pants at that one, or did you?
No.
No?
Actually, that might be the only one I didn't. But I did pull a hamstring.
The only one that you didn't split your pants.
Correct. Okay. Yeah.
It's a good metric to go off of, I guess.
So we got our boy Tim Myers here with us. He's part of the squad here with the team, and we wanted to bring him in today. He's how long you been in the industry now?
So it's going to be a year in August. So we're just hitting the spring market, and yeah, it'll be a year from joining the team in August.
That's
Nice.
crazy. I didn't think it was a year.
Yep.
Huh.
Went by quick.
Yeah.
So you're an ex-military guy.
Indeed.
You're a vet,
Indeed.
as they call them.
A vet, as they say. Yep. I was active duty Army for almost 5 years. Did ROTC in college, and then commissioned as a lieutenant in the Army. Did some training in Oklahoma. I got stationed in Colorado. Deployed once.
Where did you go?
I was in southern Afghanistan for about 9 months. Yep.
How was that?
It was a good experience. I didn't need to go, which is actually kind of interesting. I separated my AC joint 2 weeks before snowboarding, which was great. But on top of that, I could have gotten out because my initial contract was up. And I just kind of wanted the experience. I think it's kind of what when most people join the military, they want to give back, serve in some kind of way. And so for me, I was like, well, this is one way to do something we've kind of always trained for. So
Yeah.
Nice. What year was that?
that was 2018. It was pretty much the whole year, 2018.
Oh wow, so that was recent.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that recent.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it wasn't. It was December to, what was it? No, it was April to December. Yeah, so about 9 months.
That's cool. Yeah, so I think one of the reasons we thought it'd be good to have you on is obviously you came from the military, and now you are selling real estate, slinging real estate, and you're hitting the phones,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we wanted to kind of discuss how, somebody coming from the military could potentially make a transition into real estate, and what that would look like, and what, I guess, similarities or differences, or where they're now obviously being in Afghanistan versus sitting in the bullpen are two different things.
Calling dojo, yeah.
But there's obviously some kind of similarities, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, tell us about from the time you got out, the path for you wanting to go to real estate to when you joined.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, I guess growing up, like my dad had some rental units, and I mean, I always had an interest in real estate. I guess I just didn't know where it would take me. And getting out of the Army, just kind of figuring out what to do, still having that interest in real estate, even on the investing side, and then just kind of looked at, well, you know, what would it be like to get my license, connected with Matt, talked to you guys, met with you both, and realized it was definitely something I would want to do. I think one thing I missed from the Army was kind of the camaraderie and the team aspect of things. So that was something that I definitely connected with you guys, you know, very highly initially. I was thinking, you know, these are some great people. I can definitely see myself working in this environment. And so that's what the initial attraction was, I think, for me. And then I guess, Matt, to answer your question, I think one thing that you kind of can get in the Army and well, the military in general is a lot of times you're thrown into situations and you're pretty autonomous in certain ways. You kind of just have to figure out your way, figure out how to be effective, time manage effectively. And I mean, there's a lot of crossover to real estate in that aspect, amongst others. But
When I say the biggest thing I saw from you kind of day one was your calmness on the phone.
yeah,
And then you know, basically said, well, I mean, say a little bit about what you were doing in the Army. I mean, you were calling in basically strikes.
yeah. So one thing that we were trained to do is shoot live artillery, mortars, call in for close air support from Army or Air Force aircraft. And so we went through the training to do that. And then, and a lot of that was more virtual training. But then the actual live training aspect of live call for fire with mortars and field artillery. And then me on the other side where I was, I had a team that was calculating, it's called fire direction. And those are the actual, you know, getting the coordinates and then having the guns, aim towards those coordinates and fire artillery. So for me, I had to be on the radio, stay pretty composed, calm, while doing these live fire exercises or in combat. I mean, that's kind of where I learned my composure. So for me to come in and make these outbound calls to people that, you know, are maybe not very pleased with it, I'm thinking, well, I've dealt with a lot worse over radio, so that's okay.
Yeah. Cold calling's a little bit easier than what you were doing.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be harder too.
Yeah, so I guess there's probably some similarities there too, where you get stuff happening everywhere in the real estate. Now that you're in it,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got a bunch of real estate. I mean, how many pendings do you have now?
6 in escrow right now.
So 6 pendings, which is a ton for somebody just starting out. And now you're feeling the pain of you're getting shot at from every direction in the real estate industry. You've got contingents, you've got inspections, you've got all that, and then also you've got to still stay on the phone and still bring in new business. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So there are some similarities there. Now DJ, he's totally different on the phone. So you guys, now you've been calling a lot of expireds and FSBOs, and I would say DJ, you're the sales guy, and you learned the scripts quickly, the rebuttals, and you're able to stay calm and convert those people. Where a lot of people just get super nervous when it comes to any objection, any rebuttal. How long would you say it took you to catch on where you felt good?
I mean, honestly, even after a couple weeks of, you know, rehearsing the scripts, doing role play with DJ, even doing the listing presentation stuff with you guys here. I mean, it's just repetition, you know, and then realizing it's just another human being on the other end of the phone. That a lot of times they're probably just frustrated too. So just putting yourself in their shoes and realizing it's nothing personal. I think it's just a combination of all of that. But yeah, I mean, really after a couple of weeks of doing it, I felt pretty good about it.
I think the intangible, though, that he had was that calmness. Like that's,
Yeah.
he had from that training, his ability to like tonality, the mirror match, and you, everything we trained, like you listened to and got quickly.
Yeah.
And it was like 2 weeks, I mean, it was kind of impressive to watch, like literally him setting, I mean, one day he set 3 in a row. It was literally 3 calls. Like, I got 3 today. I'm like, that's unbelievable. So it was just, because we know the scripts work, right? But then once he actually memorized them, and that's the cool thing to hear, you know, you listen to anybody get on the phone, it's like watching somebody dance or sports. It's just nice to listen to. He memorized and then internalized. When it became his, and you just nailed it, the objections. Now on a call, he pivots in seconds, where before that's when you get stuck and maybe you stutter, right?
Well, so, and another thing too to keep in mind, I think for anybody listening or just anybody new to the industry is, I guess from my background too, like to learn how to be a leader, I had to be a follower too. So I had to put the ego aside and just be like, okay, you know what? I don't know a lot. Yeah, be coachable. So if you're new and you're coming in and you have a lot to learn, it seems daunting. I mean, that's understandable, but at least just listen to the people that have done it and are trying to help you, and leave the ego out of it, leave your pride out of the way, and admit, all right, I don't know anything. Have some humility, then learn how to do it, and then just kind of take action on it.
Well, and I think that's a good point, like that you maybe say you're a solo agent, you're brand new, somebody hands you the scripts, but you're outbound prospecting on your own. You probably don't do as well, right? Having DJ there, hearing a conversion, knowing and having people tell you, hey, listen, if you just do these things, they are going to work. Then it allows you the confidence to push through whenever I think most people quit. Like somebody gets they get on the phone 1 or 2 times and it's like, F this, I'm out on this.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I even look back. I mean, I say my first job was the boiler room scenario, but when he described the camaraderie and stuff like that, I mean, you remember like we all had to wear white shirts. So I'm going to buy the cheapest white dress shirts I can because all of us had to wear white dress shirts, but there were like 10 of us.
How quickly did you sweat through those?
Very. Because I don't like long sleeves as it is. So
Should be in an Old Spice commercial.
But there was like 10 of us, and I still remember like those 10 guys. I still talk to a few of them, but had I not been there with them, I will say like anybody who's starting that by themselves, you got to have a lot of grit and just sheer determination, because it is not fun getting beat up, most people, for at least like 60 days. Most. I mean,
I honestly, I know very few people that would start calling expireds without somebody there coaching them,
right,
or having a coach that's going through the scripting, or being there in a room calling with somebody else who's getting beat up that ends up sticking it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or even just knowing the numbers. Like for me, it was helpful because you guys have done this and you know that, okay, I need to get a hold of about 20 people to set one appointment, right? Well, if you go in and it's just ambiguous and you're like, well, I'm just going to call 1,000 people, hopefully something hits, it's kind of like you don't know where you're going to end up. But with you guys being there and saying, all right, well, here's what to expect when you're just starting to call, you get better. Maybe you can talk to less people to get one appointment. So knowing that too, and knowing I'm at 10 people today, I need to get to 20, and I don't know, just setting realistic expectations.
Well, that's the mindset part that helps. And even when Tina was on with John last week, Tina said for her team, it's the same goal. Talk to 20 live people. But you got to remember, and she's coaching correctly, if you get a person on the phone and they hang up on you, that's a connection. So she's saying
If
that's
the right person.
Well, no,
Yeah.
Exactly. If it's a homeowner, even if you're on and off for 2 seconds, that was a connection. So she's saying of those 20, and I agree with you. I mean, that's when you start to think, hey, I got 18 no's, you kind of start getting pretty excited because you know, like, well, hey, 2 more, I'm getting my number. And it is weird how it always kind of works out. Or you have days like you do where you get 3 in a row. That's where it's just a numbers game. Like there's no rhyme or reason. There's no special list. There's no magic pill. It's just being able to be consistent.
Well, I think too, yeah. I mean, even if you don't get somebody off the 20, you probably get 2 tomorrow. I think there are days too where because I know when I was calling, if I was dreading every second of it, I wouldn't get an appointment. When I was happy and upbeat and you get one, you'd usually get another one. And then you usually get another one after that. Like, I think a lot of people you don't realize how you come across on the phone based on your mood and like where you're at mentally and all that stuff. Because the better you are, because as soon as you get pumped up, you got an appointment, chances are you're going to probably bang another one out before you're done that day.
Yeah, and that's why starting out like the whole miracle morning or just having a good morning routine, I mean, that's one thing that I've tried for, and I mean, been fairly successful at it. But the days where I am at my best is definitely the days where I wake up early, good night's rest, get a good workout in, and get a good routine, and then I'm just happier over the phone, and people can feel that.
100%. We used to train with a mirror in front of us, and it sounds silly, but if you're laughing and smiling into the mirror, the people can hear that. So to your point, if you let it and that's the tough thing, like you said, there's a lot of, it's just like when we talk about, our 151 steps in our proven system, it's the same with us. Like there's all these little variables. And I've taken a lot of this for granted at 41 years old now, thinking I'll win just on skill. We were just talking about this morning, that I don't have to get up. I don't have to do this. I can still win just on skill. But what I've even said to you before is, where is that potential if everything's clicking, firing all cylinders, getting up in the morning, getting the workout, the meditation, day started right mindset, then do the work? How much higher can you go? And I mean, it's just like, any athlete who's taking care of themselves better, no booze, better food, etc. But then,
what's funny to me is I have all these like buzzwords or like buzz phrases that like in ROTC or in the military, they have so many of these small little like nuances they throw at you, which it's like catchy, and it's funny because it's kind of true. And one thing that they used to always have on these road signs on the side of the road in like training areas, it would say complacency kills. And it was literally just like a video of or a picture of a Humvee that's like tilted on its side because the person got complacent, fell asleep, whatever, So when you were saying that, saying, oh, I can just win on skill, I don't need to do everything. Well, that's complacency. Complacency kills. But I mean, it's kind of true. If you're just like, well, I might not need to do that, then it'll all work out. I mean, that's not true. Stick with the habits work, and it'll lead you to success. So it's funny, that just like came to me. I don't know.
Well, it's like, I mean, the military, like everybody practices shooting, right? So everybody's a great shot. And that's just like saying, well, we're going to go into this battle and we're just better shooters than they are, so we're going to win every time. Mm-hmm. As opposed to drilling how you approach a particular battle, how you, how you're going to move together, how you're going to do all those things. Like there's like, I say it all the time. There are people who are way less skilled that do more business because they do the work and they repeat it and they put the time in and they learn the rebuttals and they do all those things. Like this is one of those games where DJ's a better salesman than most people, but somebody could get more listings than him by just simply doing the right steps, doing more activities or doing more action, or like just becoming a master of those scripts, as opposed to you just throw a really good salesman on the phone. Yeah, maybe they'll get some listings, but they probably won't get as many as the person who's highly prepared for battle, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what's been, I think, hardest for me too in the transition, is because before it was like, okay, the alarm hits 4:45. Like I know I have to get up because I could be court-martialed under military law if I don't show up, in formation or whatever. And then now being an entrepreneur, it's like, well, can I sleep in? I mean, technically, yes, I could. Am I going to get arrested? No, I'm not. But, keeping a promise to myself or to you guys, of like, here, I'm going to come in at this time, do these things. I think that's kind of been maybe the biggest struggle for me personally, but it's just discipline, routine, consistency,
I think that is the biggest problem with real estate agents is you don't look at it like you would another job. Mm-hmm. Like we talk about this all the time, right? If you come in and you call 4 days a week for 3 hours and you talk to 20 people a day, you should get 4 listing appointments that week, which equates to 20. Say you get 15, say 10 of them close. That's 120 deals and you make $700,000, right? If I were hiring you for a sales position and I say, well, you're going to get a $700,000 salary, and all you got to do is come in 3 hours a day and call 4 days a week, everybody would take that job, wouldn't they? Like, but there are times in real estate where, there's nobody there that's going to fire you because it's ultimately on you whether or not you earn that commission. There are other things that you let get in your way. However, we know that they can be put off. There are no real fires. Like, I think that it's the approach where you just get into the industry, and then I think the longer that you're in it, the harder it gets too, because you get busy, you get referrals, you got business going on, you have deals going, and there's always something that will get into your way if you let it, right? But it's like you said, I mean, if you were going to get fired if you weren't here, you'd be here every day. Or if your coach was going to make you run laps if you didn't come in, if you weren't at practice on time, you'd be there every day.
Or if DJ Fairley was going to have to pay Tim Myers $2,000 if he didn't hit his call block. I mean, we did it though. We did it. We made it work.
So what was that, $1,000 bet?
Yeah.
DJ, you lost first week.
Then I went double or nothing.
And then double or nothing. You had to get 15 hours.
Yeah. What did I say 500 if I didn't do my 10? I don't remember. Yeah.
I think it was 500.
Yeah. But we did it, and it worked out. But yeah, I guess it's like that's one way to do it. I wish we didn't have to, and
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at your shirt. I mean, it's the key is
I didn't even realize that
the word discipline, right?
Yeah.
Just for
Jocko, the Jocko shirt. All right.
Right. It's like you said, like motivation's temporary. Everyone can get motivated, you get all fired up, but the daily discipline, and that's what else is weird. A lot of people, even I used to look at discipline as like, oh, that's just terrible. Like, you look at discipline as a bad thing, a negative, right? Oh, it's so regimented. You live like this military style life. But when you are very disciplined, you're actually so much more happy. And it's crazy. I even see it. I'm sure you see it now, but being a father, Maverick likes the schedule, the discipline. Like, I pick you up from school. We go to the park. We have dinner at this time. We have bath time, bedtime. Like, if he's thrown off that schedule, he's confused. So even as a child, you like the routine, right? And then as adults, the hard thing with this job is, and you said it, right? You're cold calling, you're prospecting, doing something that is not easy. You do that well, then you get really busy, you get a lot of deals. And then where we fall off some, at least for me, then there's that release, right? It's like you're physically exhausted from the selling part, and then you get home and it's like, wow, or I'm going to go out a little bit, and then that turns into I didn't sleep good, and then it becomes that.
Yeah, I think there's two sides of that. The first side is you're busting your ass because you're worried you don't have anything in the pipeline, and you know that you're not going to have any money coming in. And then when you get all these deals under, and you look at, oh, I got $50,000 coming in, I can take the foot off the gas, but you get comfortable. You get, there's not as much kind of fire under your ass to actually do the things that you probably should be doing, and that's the natural sales cycle, right? And like you said, you get busy, and you allow that stuff to take the time away from the prospecting to create the consistency in income. I mean, that's every salesperson in our industry is really busy, less busy. Well, at least the ones that are lead-based or prospecting-based, right? Where you are in direct control of how much money you make and how many deals you do.
Mm-hmm.
So to combat that is just the call windows, right? And always hitting them and not letting it, answering emails or whatever systems you put in place, and then just staying consistent on it. I mean, I've still been struggling with that, but when I am on for a couple weeks and I actually do hit the blocks and get the appointments and things go well, you see how well it does work. So the trick is just staying consistent over time with that. And
the one way to do it though, what I've seen from the guys who can stick through, they also block time for themselves. Or time for family, or time for
you have to,
like, recharging. That's where I've made the mistake, is sometimes it'll be work, and then that burnout sets in, and then once that happens, then then I don't want to call anybody. Like then it's like I need a break, and then that break 2-3 days. It's like Matt said, I got deals coming. It's okay. And you've said this before. It's not. Don't think about this as a sprint. You got to think it's going to be like an ultra marathon where you're just at a slow, steady pace that you can stick to, so you don't burn out, and taking those little breaks, so then you are able to stick to a schedule. I mean, that's the one mistake we all make. Like the honey-do list, it's always made me laugh. That Andy Frisella was the only one that ever said, pick 3 things. We always pick, today I'm going to accomplish 50 things. Nobody does it. We never, and then you feel defeated.
Yep, and you feel bad about not doing the things you said you were going to do.
Yep, and then it's a mental, then we start yelling at ourselves.
Yep.
I mean, that's the crazy thing is, it's all a mind game. We're just fighting with ourselves all the time. It's always us against us, right? To where when you're clear-headed and you have your 3 accomplishments and you do those things, like you even said, if you hit the blocks and you're having a day that you need some break, golf the rest of the day.
That's it. I mean, that is truly like figuring out what the income goal is, figuring out how many deals that equates to, figuring out how much time needs to be spent and what the activities are, so that all you need to be worried about is just doing the activities every day, not worried about the outcome.
Yeah.
And if you do it every day, you know you'll get there if you have the right skills.
Well, that's what's interesting too. Is I've told you guys, I've been listening to a lot of Ed Milet lately, and one thing that he talks about is it's like your own internal temperature barometer or whatever, about what you feel that you deserve. So if you're consistently doing the effort and you're working very, very hard, you feel that you deserve more, and so you'll get more. But if you're kind of slack and you're like, well, I can take care of it without doing everything, maybe you feel like you don't deserve as much. So you settle for a little bit less than you could otherwise get. But it's interesting, like all these tricks that our minds play on us with certain things like that. And I don't know, I think it's like a balance of that, and then forgiving yourself if, you don't hit everything in one day, and then resetting and starting the next day. I don't know. I think I've struggled a little bit with that, and I think I'm getting better, but yeah, it's just interesting to see.
Well, I think when you, like you said, when the goal is to hit the activities every day, then it's okay, because you're going to have bad days, but you knew you did what you needed to do, and the next day you're going to come back, and then you're going to hit 2 because you had a bad day yesterday.
Yep.
Like, I think that's where breaking this business down to just, I'm an analytical person, so it's like, how do you just break this business down into simple math and activities? Obviously that's what our coaching has taught us, and now that's kind of what we teach is how do you simplify the business? What is like, I get caught up in it all the time. I mean, I overanalyze everything. You try to do everything, and then the people who are they just do one thing every day really crazy good, beat everybody else, as opposed to, I'm a new real estate agent. One day I'm going to call the buyer leads that came in. The next day I'm going to call expireds. Then I'm going to make Instagram posts. Then I'm going to learn YouTube. Like, there's so many things that come at us in the real estate industry. The people who excel the quickest are the ones that just go super deep and get really, really good at just like one activity. Mm-hmm. Simple, consistent, and go super deep with it.
Yeah, and that's why, like, a lot of people I know, when you talk about like prospecting or calling expireds and FSBOs, it's not super sexy, but you look at our industry, and even in our own firm, 3 names that pop out in my mind that built their entire career in business and still do: Mark Z, Tina Call, Ricky Caruth. I mean, they're still prospecting. They still prospect. They still train on that. That's how they all got started, and still doing extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky Cruz says he does 100 deals a year.
Tina's 100 plus.
Every year.
Mark's 100
and all he
plus.
does is circle prospect and send an email.
Right.
That's probably not all he does, but that's the gist of it.
But like you said, it's the consistency. And how many years has he done that now? 16, 17?
Keeps feeding the database, stays in touch, right? Simplifying the business. I think
I think it's simplifying life. I think we just complicate our life too. I mean, really, it's like letting all the, you was telling me, like, when Jay did his 525 deals that 1 year, right? I mean, you talk about like just dialing in the system. They got that to a point where all he did was listing appointments, literally. But then you think he's doing that 6 days a week for an entire year. I mean, that alone's hard going on that many listing appointments. Plus, with a win rate of him is probably 95%.
Yeah. I mean, or some would say that that's easier than coming in, calling every day, running around. Like you'd say, what's he got? He's got 3 listing appointments a day. They take an hour apiece. It's really 3 hours of like work time. Not saying like that's super easy, like, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's dumbing it down to, hey, here's the 3 hours of activities that I'm doing every day. That's his highest dollar productive activity is Jay being on a listing appointment.
Yep.
Yeah, instead of just going down an email rabbit hole, where you see you have 20 unread emails, and then you read into that. There's an article, and just staying disciplined with that. So like it's one thing. I had a call with Wally, and he was talking about calendar and blocking, and that's one thing he recommended is if you put in your calendar that you're going to check your email at 3 points of the day, right? And then setting that expectation with your clients. I'm available this time, this time, this time. I'm not ignoring you. It's not, but setting those expectations and then kind of training them, which is a little bit of what we talked about earlier, Matt. But then sticking to that. And I feel like that would really simplify things quite a bit.
Well, yeah. And I think the other thing too is, especially for like new to the real estate industry, even when you're in a long time, you think that everything's a fire. You think that everything's a problem. You think that every text message that comes in has to be answered immediately, or the email about the title company needs to be answered instead of making the call. Like, but if you didn't know that email came in, or you didn't know that text message came in, you would just answer it whenever you get to it, and there would be no problem.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what's crazy too. It's like an instant gratification age, right? Where, I mean, both clients and agents expect, oh, I haven't heard from you in 27 minutes and 14 seconds. Something must be happening. Your car must be on fire. It's like, no, I have it blocked off, and I'm sorry. I'll get to you as soon as I can.
Yeah, I was in appointments.
Yeah.
Everything's an appointment. I mean, if it's in your calendar, it's an appointment. Sorry, I was in an appointment. I mean, you don't drop your listing appointment to take a call about a deal or respond to a text or answer all your emails, right?
We all have the same 24 hours, right? So whatever you prioritize.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's even what John says is you start, like you said earlier, you start your calendar with your family time, your break time, your me time. Then you put your dollar productive activities in. Then you do your appointment times, and then you do the other shit, which there's always going to be other shit. Like, I think we think like, oh, this is a problem. No, that's just the real estate transaction. There's something that comes up in every real estate transaction. It's not a fire. The job is just managing the process of the transaction. They don't all go smooth. None of them do anymore, it doesn't seem like. So It's like, no, that's not a problem. That's just selling real estate. That's just managing the real estate transaction to get it to the end. If the job description was you're going to get deals under contract and then your job was to manage all the problems through to the end, like, then you look at it one way. Otherwise, it's if somebody's calling me, their house is on fire and everything's got to be dropped, and we gotta drop everything we're doing.
Well, I know John always says don't have white space on your calendar, but the only other advice I'd give, especially when you got like 6 pending, whether you're new or not new, you got to keep some time in there in the middle, right? Because I got a deal right now, for example. Hey, we're sailing along, you get inspections, and then it's like, well, something came up in the report, and now we need an engineer to go there, and we need to go have this guy go there, and we need to have this guy. Well, those are all meetings, and you're trying, if you can get them all there at the same time. But then there's 45 minutes to the property, waiting there while they do their thing. There's those things that do take out of your day, and you got to have that planned where it's like, if your prospects in the morning, you keep the appointments in the evening. But you got to have some of it, because if not, that's when it starts to feel overwhelming. And then what happens is, and this, then you'll start to skip the blocks because you're like, well, I'll just do it at 10. Like as soon as you hear like a time that works, it's just you want to get it off your plate. But if you start doing that and letting that be okay,
That's what we all do wrong.
right? You allow yourself to say, oh, it's okay, I missed that morning. Well, then when you do it once, and then you allow yourself to, it's easier to say it again.
A lot of it too is just figuring out how to manage the transaction, right? Like, I don't know that I would try to negotiate that inspection where I'm putting it on the seller to have a structural engineer, as opposed to me getting a structural engineer quote and having to go out there, right? Like you're trying, like, I think a lot of times, like, everybody's trying to get all these quotes. Well, if there's something wrong, it needs fixed. Here, seller, have somebody look at it. If there's something wrong, fix it. Like, that's your reply, right? Like, there's ways to manage that. Reed taught me a lot of that. That's if you are working some buyers and you allow and you want to get quotes for everything, your life is going to suck. So you got to figure out how to properly structure a reply to inspection where you're putting it on somebody else to do that work.
Yeah, and one thing on that too, and it's kind of what you mentioned earlier, Matt, is you've helped me a lot with that and taking some of the emotion out of the process too, because inherently this is an emotional industry. Working with buyers and sellers can be very emotional because it's a big financial decision. But you, as the agent and fiduciary, you're saying, okay, here's our options. Okay, this, and this, and I mean, you're laying it all out for them, but you can't make the decision for them. And I think that's helpful because you tend, as another human being, to get emotionally attached to maybe an outcome. Yep. And then mirror your client's emotions. And that can be tough, but I do like that approach of like, okay, I'm here to inform you what your options are. I can't make the decision for you. That's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Well, exactly how you just said that. The one profession that always comes to mind, and you do a great job, a good doctor. Think about a surgeon. Think what they go through on a daily basis. And again, by looking at our job, when you always say, hey, nobody's going to die today. Things can wait, right? They're going into surgery after surgery. People do die. And if they're telling a patient options, that's how they're talking. They're not going to tell you what to do. They're going to say, here's your options. Mm-hmm. This is what I recommend. It's still your decision which way we...
Sure.
Right?
And when I'm dying and I call that doctor, he's not taking that phone call.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to call me back at 5 o'clock after he's done with his 6 surgeries.
Yeah, because he's in surgery. Exactly. That's how...
That's what I'm saying. Like,
actually, that's a great point. Like, I figured the guy who did my leg surgeries,
you probably never heard from him again.
I got to be friends with him, but I like to know his schedule, and it was crazy. This was his schedule. He did surgeries on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Started at 7:30 in the morning. He could typically do between 10 to 12 surgeries, depending on how complex. Monday and Wednesday were paperwork days, follow-up days, consults. Friday was off. So, like, that's how strict. So, to your point,
call him on a Friday once. See how quickly I'll be back. Go call an attorney right now. See if they answer.
Yeah. Yep.
It's true. They don't, because they're paid on an hourly basis. They're paid per surgery. They're paid per consult.
And you've said that before about when you just said about 100 listings. Someone doing that, what's their hourly rate? $4,000 an hour? $5,000 an hour?
Yeah, I think we figured yours out. If you want to do 100 listings, it was $2,800 an hour for the call block. That's what that time's worth. So think about if you miss a whole call block to go get an engineer, go meet an engineer. You could have had the seller meet the engineer. Say there's a 50-50 chance that that it works out because you send it to the seller. It's $12,000 commission. Divide that in half, 6,000. Like, you'd still make more money calling for 3 hours because your time's worth $8,600. My math sucks on that, but whatever, $2,800 times 3 hours. Your money, it's still worth your time to call as opposed to going to meet an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one thing you told me early too that helped is, I mean, the more you hit your call block, the more business you get, the more you have, an escrow. It's if one or two don't work out, because inherently, especially in Pittsburgh with sewer lines and whatnot, it's one or two are bound to not work out, and that's okay because you have other business in the pipeline, or you have something else in escrow, and you don't get so attached to it, I guess.
It's always pipeline.
Yeah.
Well, and everybody worries about stuff that you can't even control anyway.
Yep.
What control do you have over an inspection? None. Right? Like, it's going to come back how it comes back, and you're going to figure out the reply when you figure out the reply. It's like you don't really have any control over that. Can you control how, maybe you respond to the reply? You could control maybe pointing some things out when you're going through, like, so they're not so alarmed. But at the end of the day, like, everybody gets all worried. Well, what do you think about the inspection that's going to come back tomorrow? I don't think about it. I don't worry about
There's
it.
so
When we
many
get
of
the
those
inspection,
questions.
we'll do it.
Yeah.
And the inspection comes back and the client's calling, hey, listen, I haven't got a chance to review the inspection yet. Why don't we talk tomorrow at 11, and I'll go through it, and then we'll figure out how we reply, right?
Yeah.
Setting the expectation and not worrying about stuff that you can't control.
That's huge too, just what you can and can't control. And to bring it back to things that pop in my head, I remember when I was a new lieutenant, we had this training event. It was a live fire training event going on, and something was happening. Live fire. To quote Danny B, sells out. Is this live fire?
Yeah, it's live, buddy.
This was a live fire training event. And I don't remember what happened. I think it was like a bunch of the ammo was late or something like that. We were going to miss our time on target, something like that. And one of the platoon sergeants who had spent a cumulative of 5 years in Iraq. That's how much this guy has deployed. It's actually incredible. Smoke Mets, if you're out there, much love. So anyway, he just looked at me and he goes, sir, this is just the Army. It's going to be all right. What's going to happen? The ammo's going to be late. We're going to mess this training event up. It's going to be okay. Who cares? And I was like, wow, you're right. Thanks. And so, I mean, you could say the same thing for this. Like, no matter what it is. Oh, the inspection report comes back horrible. Well, I guess we're going to have to back out and find you another place. Yeah, it's going to be all right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And you won't think about it ever again 3 months from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the crazy quote that you got to remind yourself when you always say, will you think about this in a month, 6 months, a year?
5 years.
99% of everything that we worry about every day won't even matter in a week.
Yep.
Or a month.
Yeah. It's like you're worrying about the future and you're putting yourself through suffering that's unnecessary. The future's not even real, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, we just got deep.
We did.
I don't know.
What else you guys got? Anything for today, or should we wrap her?
I think we're pretty much there. I just think going back to, like you said, any new agent, I'd say, are just discipline, time blocks. Don't try to boil the ocean. Don't make your day so crazy difficult where you're not going to stick to
I
it.
love that quote.
Boil the ocean?
He says that's one of his
I've never heard
five
of that.
go-tos.
Boil the ocean.
The long and short of it is,
Yeah. You guys know.
Don't
what
try
I'm
to
saying.
boil the ocean.
Holistically. You remember that one?
Holistically.
You would throw holistically into stuff that it had no business.
I use
being
some
involved.
grammar in places I shouldn't. I didn't get a real good reading score in college. I'm real good
I
at
don't think
math.
any of us did.
Nah.
but
We're all guilty of that.
I use words sometimes. Who's
What's
that
the
one?
other one? You always say sticky. How to keep it sticky?
Oh, man.
It's great. We got to get a DJ board. And all
We
that.
do need a DJ quote board. There's a lot of them.
Oh, man.
I was saying one word wrong for a while. Remember, I was like, irregardless. You're like, it's regardless.
Yeah,
like, are you sure?
regardless.
Are you sure that's how you say it?
That's good.
You're right. It's regardless.
It wasn't a word.
I probably said that a few thousand times.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for stopping in, Tim.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen, for
If
having
you
me.
are a veteran and you're thinking about the real estate industry, you should hit up our boy. We'll have contact info.
Please connect with me. Be
Below.
great.
Hit our main man Tim up.
Good deal.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.